backwards masking. By the time the eyes had got into when the night falls, the sky-clad fox had re-entered the room, newly showered and toweling her tresses. "What's the most unusual place you've ever had sex?" she asked me. "Eastbourne," I went without thinking. "What's unusual about that?" "Well, it was just the once I had it there." I was eager to get to the bottom of her. "How did you get into this line of work then?" "I wanted to be a prostitute, but I disapproved of pimping. Prostitution might be the oldest profession, but pimping isn't far behind." "Yeah, it's weird. A pro used to mean a prostitute, but now it just means a professional. And turning pro means the same thing, I suppose." "A pimp's first job is to keep other pimps away from the girl, which of course renders all pimps mutually exclusive and redundant. The strictest sanctions they have are reserved for the girls that give themselves away for free, not for unpaying punters. That's not because of the lost revenue, it's a question of demarcation. Gouging punters is their business. Woe betide a whore who falls in love." "Yeah, all human creative endeavour originated in sexual display, you know. Striptease was the first art form, long before language. All dance is just a coy form of exotic dancing, which itself predates clothing. The animal kingdom provides many precedents." "I always said that David Attenborough was a bigger perv than Paul Raymond ever was." "Who are you working for now?" "Can't you tell from my uniform yet?" She went, running her shapely fingers all over her shapely thingies. "The livery of the human species, always different, always the same. All other uniforms must be worn over the skin, analogous to the order of subordinate flags, for instance." "Is that why strippers often favour uniforms? Nurses, policewomen, French maids, stewardesses?" "Paradoxically, our lingerie tends towards the exotic. Institutional underwear, for instance, is favoured for ironic and specialised tastes." "The occult infrastructure of the female form, that is. At the next level down, the various types of lingerie are uniforms in and of themselves. Most brands aligned with minor celebrities and TV has-beens. Often punters just come out and wear the brand of a globalised corporation right there. They're conscripting us into their uniforms from the inside out." "But even so, it doesn't matter. We're all spies wearing our true colours underneath, ultimately serving the higher power of our common humanity in our nudity." "Well, that's why witches are always nude in those 70s films, isn't it? Whoa." "Yes, you're very observant." She came over to me and took a swig from my drink and finished it off. "I'm just going to slip into something more uncomfortable," she went, going out. This time she left the door open. I wondered why she'd left it that way, if she'd turned bashful, but then I realised it was terribly drafty. I could clock her in the other room. She was silhouetted in the doorway now. The fleur-de-lis came on, and I could hear her as she bumped and ground to the heavy garage slop on a hi-fi. I tried to crank up the volume, but I pushed the wrong button, and the disc started spinning in reverse. It sounded twice as cool. I looked to see if there was a way to speed up too, but I couldn't figure it out. That was strange. She got a pair of very briefs from somewhere, which she started to rub all over herself, and then slowly eased them on and teased them up. She fiddled with the elastic and all that, rubbing her exciting parts and pouting and stuff. Then she started running her hands up to her smooth curves and switched her attention to her fantastic and overt assets. I had mentioned her fantastic and overt assets previously. They were pretty good ones. Reaching over, she grabbed a brassiere from wherever it was she got the scanty panties from, and she clutched it to herself. Her pert nipples stood up proudly like twin masts on two adjacent hills. I expect that's how to get stereo then. She jiggled the Boston halter around, getting it to fit exactly right before reaching down and fastening it with a huge amount of difficulty. She caressed her lonely domes and corrupt curves through the lacy fabric. The stockings came next. She rolled them on very slowly. Her legs went on forever. A surprisingly modest skirt, ash grey, languidly slidden over the buttocks and zipped. And then the formal blouse, a matching military-style blouson jacket, and lastly some of those elbow-length gloves that the Spanish pervert Jess Franco was so very fond of. By then she was dressed, of course, and she came back out to the lounge. I gave her a rousing round of applause just to be polite. And up closer I noticed that the dress was made of some kind of bizarre mohair tile type of fabric. The grey wool teased out to such a length that you couldn't tell exactly where the environment had ended and she began. And the interstitial area formed a luminous area in front of her. And when she walked in front of the lamp, it was like the sky coming up on some kind of alien world.